slight diversions that take not from the joy of living in this garden land, the state of Illinois. So move your family westward, good health you will enjoy, and rise to wealth and honor in the state of Illinois. Away upon the northward, right on the borderline, a great commercial city, Chicago you will find. Her men are all like apple larder, women like elbow bees, all honest, virtuous people, for they live in Illinois. So move your family westward, good health you will enjoy, and rise to wealth and honor in the state of Illinois. So move your family westward, bring all your girls and boys, and cross that Shawnee Ferry to the state of Illinois. Thank you. Yes, I am Illinois Doug, and I am from Illinois. I'm from Mattoon, Illinois, the buckle on the Corn Belt, as it used to be called when I was a kid a long time ago, but now it's called the bagel capital of the world. Because they have, we visited there a couple of years ago in this huge bagel factory outside of town. I guess it all goes to Chicago or something. Yeah, Mattoon, Illinois, about 180 miles south of Chicago, 50 miles south or so of Champaign-Urbana. My brother Dennis is here. He pointed out to me one time that Mattoon's the town where Grant took command of his first unit of the Civil War. He'd been up in Galena, up in the northern point, and came down to Mattoon and took command, and I wondered why Mattoon, and I got reading and I knew that the Illinois Central goes from Chicago down to New Orleans, and then there was a railroad line that went from Terre Haute, Indiana across to Alton, Illinois, which is right across the river from St. Louis. So you look at that and you go, oh yeah, that means they could get troops to the Mississippi River within a day. They could get troops south. They would protect the Wabash River. They could protect the Ohio River. They could protect the Mississippi River and move troops around. So Mattoon, it's called the buckle on the Corn Belt, but the Big Four Railroad met there too. So it was important little town. And it's also, we'll talk about this a little bit, it's also in Coles County where Lincoln lived. And Charleston, Illinois is the county seat of Coles County, and is where one of the Lincoln-Douglas debates occurred. So it's hard to imagine that that Illinois was in the West, but it was considered West. The little background for the whole thing, the population in the United States in 1860 was around 32 million, give or take a few thousand. 4 million of those were slaves, predominantly in the deep south, southeast. The issues have been going on forever. The bloody Kansas in the 50s, we talked about that for an hour. I came across a guy named States' Rights Geist. There's a guy, Geist, who was so adamant about states' rights, he named his kid States' Rights. It would be like naming your kid pro-life today or something. And States, they called him States, and he fought with honor on the Confederate side. When Lincoln, this is all background, when Lincoln moved to Indiana from Kentucky about 7 or 9, I think about 9, Indiana had 23 million acres of wilderness. It was all gone in 60 years. When Lincoln talked about panthers and bears and stuff outside their home. West Point graduating class was 37 to 60 roughly. Everybody knew everybody. There were a few very elite families. Of course, you know, it's like California. It's got more than 20 million people now, 30 million. John Brown in the 1850s. We think of John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. What a great guy! Yay! He summarily executed 5 pro-slavery guys in Kansas with either a broadsword or a scythe, depending on which one you read. In the 1860 race, Lincoln was the lightweight. We'll go through these guys. I'm going to talk about the candidates in the 1860 and 1864 elections. of the 1860 election, there were 4 guys: Lincoln, Bell, Breckinridge, and Stephen Douglas. But of all these people and even the vice presidential candidates, Lincoln was the lightweight. He'd done some work, political service in Illinois, but he served 1 term in Congress in 48 to 50, is that right? And these other guys had been governors, senators, congressmen, ambassadors, cabinet members. All the other guys had done all that. Lincoln was the lightweight. But as it turned out, I'll give you a spoiler, Lincoln won. But in the 1860 election, the Democrats split, and there was Bell in the Constitutional Union Party, and Lincoln was elected with less than 40% of the vote, like 38.9 or something like that. And I've told people I'm not particularly religious, but I think God sent us Lincoln. I really do. During the whole of their lives, Lincoln and Jefferson Davis were more widely known and more popular than Lincoln. And the day Lincoln was shot, he was one of the most reviled people in America. And the day after he got shot, killed, he was one of our greatest heroes. And I said that one time, this woman said, the very next day? Well, metaphorically speaking. So, I don't know.